Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Burning Word Book Club. I am going through a book study of the book entitled The Burning Word by Judith Kunst, and we are moving into the middle of chapter 3. So if you haven't been with us, that's actually fine because each of the conversations is kind of a standalone um, journey into this book. And so you can use this as a discussion or even a part of your meditation or just philosophical quiet time. Um, or you can go back and start from the beginning. But either way, I hope you enjoy the conversation that comes out of this book. It's one that I read about 10 years ago when I was in seminary, and I decided this year to revisit it. And I'm really glad that I did because you always know if you're learning from life that you have your perspectives changed based on things that you've been through or even preconceived notions about how things you are going through are going to end up, whether it be marriage or raising children or the career you chose for yourself or even the relationships with your parents or friendships that you thought would always be there and suddenly are not. And so it's always nice to look back at those things that you once knew and see if they still hold up to the lens of how you have been experiencing life. And so that's what I did with this book, and I'm so happy to know that you are interested in having this conversation together. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're in the middle of chapter 3. The best thing I know to explain how curiosity can pull us onto holy ground is to tell a story about a difficult question put to me by my high school boyfriend in Littleton, Colorado, one year on the 4th of July. We were standing in line at a party buffet before the fireworks. I had turned 16 that March. And as we spooned chunks of potato salad onto our plates, I mentioned offhandedly that my parents' anniversary was 2 weeks away. What year were they married? My boyfriend asked. And when I told him, he said, And then, how come your birthday is only 7 months after that wedding day? It was a question that had never occurred to me, and it shook me up a bit. Though they sometimes had never made pronouncements about sex before marriage being wrong, the church tradition they'd chosen to raise me in certainly had, vigorously and frequently. Now, the mild curiosity of a math-oriented teenage boy had called that teaching and my parents' own moral integrity into question. Like fingers gliding along a wall and suddenly tracing the clean outlines of a door, the prosaic question, how come, had exposed a hidden space in my life I didn't know existed. The next day I walked through that new door with a curiosity still only slightly sharper than that of the boy who posed it. I took the question to my parents. In the middle of a restaurant meal, I recall. They were gracious in their response. They shared with me awkwardly but openly a very private part of their history. As the conversation unfolded, larger questions emerged in me. Why had they taught me that sex outside of marriage is wrong if they had done it themselves? And how could it be wrong, so wrong, if would I even exist if they had kept God's? Suddenly I was overwhelmed by the implications. A little earthquake was roughing up my otherwise smooth inner landscape, and I found myself barely standing on rather terrifying holy ground. God was suddenly bigger, much bigger than my adolescent self had imagined him to be. And the easy church mathematical equations of sin and consequence suddenly became more complex. It is possible to equate questioning with challenge, suspicion, interrogation, demand. We tend to value answers more highly than questions, as the goal worth achieving, as the finish line. Midrash, however, equates questions with intimacy. Midrash values the question and the sacred language that gives rise to it, as ground for meeting with God. When my 3-year-old son asks why about everything from brushing his teeth to the shape of bananas, I understand dimly that it's not explanation he wants so much as closeness. When my parents chose to walk with me through the door of my uncomfortable question, we didn't find answers, clarification, or resolution. Instead, we found intimacy, an intimacy born out of a mutual willingness to seek out the hidden places, to come closer to the burning bush, to question the received text of our separate and joined lives. So here's some conversation to take away from the video, and I hope to either just have you invite yourself into the conversation with God, or to have this conversation amongst a group of friends or coworkers or people who you're just interested in knowing what they think about this type of understanding in the Bible. Take some time to think about the extent to which you welcome questions and the extent to which you fear them in your relationship with God, with the Bible, with the various communities to which you belong. What might happen in these relationships if you were to actively regard questions as opportunities for increased intimacy? Now, I can honestly tell you, I love questions. I have taught over the years all age ranges, from adults to preschool children, and children delight in questions. And it's not even that they want to know the answer or give the right answer. I think that comes a little later. But what they like is they like to share what they know and what they think. And I'm just enamored by that idea, that they allow each other to give different answers. They all don't have to have the same answer. They're all not looking to give the answer that their friend wants them to give. And so even when I find myself at times in a leadership role in what you might call a Bible study or a group like that, it's very interesting to hear responses like, is that a trick question, right? Because we all know, we've all been there, when someone had an answer that we were supposed to give and we just weren't going to give it, right? I love that as I've gotten older, that I can hear an answer, not like it, be uncomfortable about it, and let it be the answer. It's incredible. It's incredible. There's these moments where I think, I'm so proud of you. Right? Because for so many years, we want to battle someone to get them on our side. But what I've been in is I've been on the receiving end of that. And what happens is I just get quiet, but you have not changed my mind. And so, I would invite you into this conversation with yourself and with others. How do you feel about questions? How do you feel about not simply just questioning authority for its own sake, but just questioning it with a real interest in hearing the answer? And maybe even if you don't understand it or you're uncomfortable with it, to just allow it to be what it is. All right, so thank you so much for stopping by. Please make sure and share this with anyone you think would be interested in this type of discussion. Of course, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you would like all the notifications for the different type of work that I do. Goodbye.